Hello, it's Jenna Dalton, and I am here with Jenna Denton House, who is my friend and a marriage coach. She specializes in helping married women want and enjoy sex more with their husbands. She's actually known for a popular course that she created that she created called the Wanting It More program. She empowers groups of women to create boundaries, trust their intuition, and prioritize their pleasure in the sexual experience, which I think is so important. She actually got married as a teen and struggled with low desire, and she spent so many years with counselors and therapists and coaches trying to fix her libido issues with no long-term results. It was like these quick fix things that didn't really work. And so she eventually trained as a marriage coach herself and developed her own methodology for healing this, first for herself, and now she's worked with hundreds of other women. Thank you so much for being here, Jenna.
Oh, Jenna, it's my pleasure.
I love to. We always it's always the Jenna. It's like the Jenna show. It's fantastic.
And Dalton and Denton.
Exactly. We were just meant to be. So
we were
meant to be. So we wanted to have a conversation because there's a lot going on right now with this COVID-19 situation. So many moms have so many things on their plate, very little support, like childcare is gone. They can't even really leave the house, no more play dates, no more school, all this different kind of stuff. And it's just like a lot right now. And talking to some friends, some women in my community, a lot of women are just saying like they're drained. They don't want to have sex. They're like angry when their husband even like tries to touch them. Are you getting some messages of things like that too from women in your community?
Well, I guess I have two kind of camps of my community. One who have gone through the Wanting It More program, so like
Yes.
my alumni who have a different perspective on sex now.
Yeah.
And then the rest of my community who, all of my community are women who have always struggled with not wanting sex. So you probably know more about like the outside population and how they're doing. But yeah, so those of us who have always had low desire, it's kind of the same old thing. Like it's still happening for us. So yeah, but let's I don't know, I'm excited about our conversation because I really want to make sure that women who are feeling like that, whether it's been for a long time or something new, they go away from this conversation feeling relief.
Yes. Yes.
And that they're not that they're normal and that there's nothing wrong with them, and hopefully a few strategies on how to handle this thing right now.
Absolutely. I love that, especially because like the women in my community, like we are go-getters. We want to do everything 110%. And it's like our careers and our motherhood and our relationship, like everything has to be like awesome. And we got to like dive right in and do everything perfectly and everything like that. And that's just like impossible on a good day. And so right now it's extra hard. So let's talk a little bit about like why we might be having the low sex drive right now and what should we quote do about it, if anything.
Well, a couple of reasons probably. One, you're just feeling like you need to do everything.
Yes.
And whenever you feel forced to do something that you don't want to do, or you feel like there's something wrong with you if you don't do it, you just want to do it less.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If I had this window, so we moved into a pretty old house and we needed to clean. The windows were disgusting. So when we moved in, we have so many windows, which I'm so grateful for. I love the natural light, but there was this one window in our ensuite bathroom that I never got to during the renovation phase.
Yeah.
And every time I'd be in the bathroom, I'd look at that window and go, oh, I have to clean that window. It's so disgusting. Why haven't I done it? What's wrong with me that I'm not motivated? Like month after month, I would have that thought about that darn window. One day I was brushing my teeth and I said, you know what, Jana? You don't have to clean that window. I give you permission to never clean that window again, and it's not going to mean anything about you. Guess what I literally did the next second? I'm not kidding. I was still in my pajamas. Because we have a bathtub right under. So I climbed to that bathtub. I took out my scraper and I scraped the mildew and the mold and the nasty stuff that was around it. And now I like love that window. Like every time I look at it, I'm like, I did that because I gave myself permission not to do it. So perhaps women are feeling more pressure than before. Perhaps they're with their husbands more.
Yes.
There's less distraction. Maybe their husbands are feeling stress and anxiety, which causes them to want sex more, because a lot of men find it very stress relieving. And so it's just kind of the laws. Whenever you're pushed to do something, it becomes less about your enjoyment and pleasure. Like it was less about me enjoying that window and more about the thoughts in my head of who are you if you don't clean that window, you know?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. So much goodness in that. Like, I think the simple, like, giving yourself permission to not do, whether it's sex or eating vegetables or exercising or like anything that's like quote like good for you that you're like supposed to do, giving yourself permission to not do it opens up the possibility of like, do I really actually want to do this? And if I want to do it, what does it look like? Instead of like the societal norms of this is how it should be. Because I'm sure that a lot of women, you're the marriage counselor, so you tell me, but I feel like a lot of women are like thinking, well, this is how it's supposed to be in marriage, or this is how it's supposed to be in sex, and so I should be doing this. Versus maybe, do you think that maybe there's like another way? Like what kind of tips and strategies can you provide around that?
I think the biggest one is how we experience desire. So we're told that I did a little mini course called What's Normal, and in the mini course I dissected 10 sex scenes randomly.
Yeah.
Literally just went on YouTube and just, some Grey's Anatomy, some whatever.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know, I found a formula. I'm
Of
not
course.
kidding.
Yeah.
There was a formula. And some stuff that you would have never thought about. Going through a doorway while taking clothes off.
Who does that, right?
It's what's with the doorway and the clothes off.
Yeah.
All of the scenes almost had, when you kiss, you have to put a hand.
Oh, yeah.
Watch this. Now you'll see it everywhere
Yes.
now. Because it would be boring for the camera if it was just like this, right? Like you need to have some like,
Yeah.
like, come on in.
Yeah.
It was always penetration led to orgasm, always.
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was always alluded to, like
Yeah.
the bed banging against the wall. Oh yeah, that's another thing. It always is like very sweaty, very like, there's a lot of exercise going. Maybe even like this part. There's a lot of exercise going on in the experience. So of course we feel like sex should be a certain way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you start, when women come into my world, into the Wanting It More program, we do a media detox for the full 2 months of the program. And one of the biggest benefits of that is suddenly you start to see it everywhere, on the billboards, in the advertisements, in the random comments from radio DJs, in some kids shows. Like you start to see bizarre messages. So first off, not our fault that we feel like sex has to look a certain way, and not our fault if we don't like the way that media has prescribed sex to be, because it wasn't actually for pleasure, it was actually for performance.
Yeah.
So there's this idea of your desire has to happen spontaneously, because that's part of the formula.
Yeah.
You look at your husband, he's wearing some really great stuff and you see his muscles and you're just like, oh, and you're like tingling with delight and you're like, hey buddy, let's do a little quickie while the kids are watching TV, and like you go and like it's a quickie and everyone has a great orgasm. They have to happen at the same time too. You need to have
Of course.
simultaneous orgasm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no finger, like you can't be touching your clitoris.
No.
No vibrators involved. No discussions over lube or condoms or cleanup.
No.
No. And you emerge from the bedroom like, oh, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Of course. So it doesn't work that way.
No.
I'm going to say most of the women in my communities, but in the general population, there are actually two types of desire. One, spontaneous desire, which is what is portrayed in the media. That is like you're doing dishes and like, boom, you suddenly just want sex and you got to go find your partner. You're just like, I just want it. And you get satisfied and then you move on. Okay.
Yeah.
There are some people like that. I don't understand them. They're like amazing unicorns and I don't get it. But
Yeah.
there are people like that.
Yeah.
What I have and what most of the women I help have responsive desire.
Yeah.
This kind of looks like, you know what? We have sex on Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
And so Sunday morning rolls around and I'm like, no, feeling super sexy. I'm not into it. No tingling down there. No sexy thoughts. Didn't have any sexy dreams to help me have sexy feelings. But I made a choice to have some time with my husband on Saturday morning. So we go brush our teeth and we get the kids sorted out. We lock our door and we lay down together and I'm still not feeling it.
Yeah.
But then we start talking. And so talking about our week and about, what went well, what we're struggling with. And then I'm, rubbing my hand on my husband's chest and that feels nice and warm. And I have a thought, what would it be like to climb on top of him? So I climb on top of him and I rub his cheek and I smell his neck and desire starts to happen. Arousal is cultivated in that kind of safe, comfortable experience.
Yes, I love that. I am definitely in like the same camp. Like there might be some times where it's like the spontaneous, like, ooh, I feel like it. But 9 times out of 10, it's like Anna, my husband, is like, I'm into you. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm into this. And then like after a few minutes, I'm like, okay, yeah, I do like you touching me. Grab my bum some more. Make me feel desire. And it's interesting too. It's very like we have very similar jobs in terms of like a lot of the women in my community. It's like no one really actually is like excited to work out. It's like you gotta kind of like get into your workout clothes, convince yourself that you're gonna feel so much better, start your workout, and then a couple minutes in you're like, okay, I'm enjoying this. But I think that this could potentially be construed as I'm talking about it is like someone who might be thinking, okay, well, does this mean that like I just force myself to have sex? My husband's coming on to me and I should just go with it? But I know that that's not what you're saying. But let's explore that a little bit more so everybody else can understand.
Yes, I'm so glad you bring that up because one of the worst pieces of advice that is incredibly common amongst many professionals is just do it. It's good for you, for your marriage. I was going to say good for you, but no, that's not what they say. They say it's good for your marriage.
Yeah.
It's like kale. Just eat it. It's good for your marriage. Or your husband needs it.
Yes.
It's your duty.
Oh,
and
yeah.
even if it's not so overtly said, it's subtly said. Even in some of the books I've read, Okay, so yes, no, full stop. This is not about forcing yourself. So the right frame of mind needs to take place.
Yeah.
Number one, when you are doing exercise, it's only benefiting you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yes.
So I would love everybody to adopt the same frame of mind. When I'm having sex or I'm spending time with my husband, we call them exploration dates.
Yeah.
We don't use the word sex because of so much connotation and so much heaviness and so much weight. So we explore. it has to be about the things that are good for you.
Yes.
And because I find women are so far in terms of a spectrum on the side of this is for my husband and how can I please him, and what, is he bored? Is he having a good time? Is this intense enough? Am I doing a good job? Even our own orgasms become about them feeling good about themselves.
Yeah.
So women feel even pressure to feel orgasm. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So what I have to do in order to get women to neutral, I
Yeah.
have to take them to the other end of the spectrum first.
Yeah.
And the other end of the spectrum is sex is good for me. I'm going to go into that experience and take. And in order to do that, I ask women to be the leader of the sexual experience.
Yeah.
Not only make sure that everything they're doing is about their pleasure, but also it provides safety.
Yes.
Because the biggest thing to cut pleasure is if you're feeling pressured or if you're feeling unsafe. And this is like, all our husbands are great men. Like, I'm not saying they're going to harm us in any way intentionally.
Yeah.
But that, that little boob slide, it might not even be a grab. It might be just like a boob brush, or the question, will you give me a blowjob?
Mm-hmm.
Or the, heavy kiss with the tongue and we're not into it, and that can make us feel unsafe.
Yeah.
And there's many reasons for that. We just live in a very unsafe world for women in terms of our sexuality. We have generations of oppression and rape and problems in our epigenetics. I mean, I could go into all the reasons.
Yeah.
But if you lead the experience and your husband's a responder, which they're amazing at, it's not a hierarchy thing. It's not somebody's better than the other. It's just everyone needs different things. That's what equity is, right? Everyone gets what they need to feel safe and comfortable. The experience is so much better, and the quality is better for the woman. And then when they think about the sexual experience next time, when they schedule it and they, put on their running shoes, you can, if you want, you can, then it's a fondness memory. And that's how I think. I wouldn't say I'm like, ooh, I've my sex is coming on Sunday. I'm so excited. I can't wait. No, it's more of like that's nice. It's a fond feeling. And I went from having insane amounts of anxiety anytime, I would think about sex coming up, or my husband would make a comment, or he would try to kiss me or anything. I would just feel like I was going to it was awful. And so now I can say with 100%, I was going to say certainty, but that doesn't make sense. With 100% something that I don't have any of that anymore. And it's been completely, it's happened completely because now I'm in charge, for lack of a better word, or I design our experiences.
I love that. Well, I think it's absolutely, say you're in charge. Like I get that you're thinking like that's not like the perfect phrasing, but I think that especially in the sexual experience, especially going back to like all the clips, the sex scenes and everything like that, typically the man is in charge, or if the woman is in charge, it's for the man's pleasure, not for her pleasure. And so, it's interesting because I was like very much in like the same boat as you, where it was like how can I make this good for him, and like it's all about him, and like not about me and everything like that. And I remember after I had my first daughter, I was breastfeeding, and I remember the first time that we had sex, he reached for my breasts, and I was just like, no, and I just like pushed him away, and it was like this it was like almost like this pivotal moment where like he was like, oh, like it was like taken aback because I was so like, no. But it was like this pivotal moment where like his response, he's like, okay, yeah, no, that's okay. And then we still could enjoy the experience after. And it was like this huge aha light bulb moment for me, that it's like, okay, I can say what I need in this moment, and it won't necessarily ruin the moment for him. And I get my needs met, and he still gets his needs met. So this can be a win-win. And I'm sure that that's a common misperception too, right? Where it's like, it's either my pleasure or his pleasure, but can't it be both?
So I get this question a lot
Yeah.
because people are saying, well, it's not fair.
Ah,
It's not fair. And then I go back to, okay, what is fairness to start with?
yeah.
And back to fair is that everybody gets what they need to feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
And men and women need different things from the sexual experience, I've found.
Yeah.
And what men have reported to me through my surveys and I'll, work with them, and we created a program for husbands as well with my husband. They have told me, Jenna, I want her to want me.
Mm,
And when she wants me or she's enjoying herself, the pleasure is out of this world.
yeah.
And a lot of men have never actually experienced that.
Yeah.
So when their wife starts to have more boundaries and have more of a voice and take more charge, sometimes they're like, whoa, wait a minute here.
Yeah.
Because they think what they want is frequency or a certain sexual act, and that will make them feel more of a man or more important or more of a priority for her. But what they really want is genuine pleasure on her side.
Mm,
But if the wife has always just been doing it out of duty or obligation or guilt, he's actually never experienced that before. So we sometimes go through a bit of a rocky period where, where the woman's not quite comfortable being a leader and the man's like, whoa, wait a minute. And then you kind of settle in. So I have always found that men are just so much more fulfilled and satisfied when their wives are fully in their pleasure, look forward to the experiences. But again, everybody needs and wants different things. So it's normal for our brain to be like, well, I like to be grabbed and called sexy. She should like to be grabbed and be called sexy,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
So it's just human nature and normal and stuff. And so it's really cool that your husband was like, okay,
Yeah.
because not all husbands are like that.
No.
Some husbands feel the rejection, and so that people, when they feel rejected, they do weird things, right?
Yeah.
So that's so awesome. And because and I had a pivotal moment like that too,
Yeah.
when I was like, I'm never having sex again if I don't want to. And
Yeah.
I often say that women need to learn how to say no before they can say yes.
Yes. Yes. That's, oh, I just want to like sit with that for a minute because I feel like that's so powerful. Like, especially like, I find like kind of going back to the beginning of our conversation in this whole environment that we're in right now with the pandemic going on, like we talked about, for a lot of women, when they're stressed, like their sex drive just like shuts down, non-interested. And men, it's like, I need to have sex 5 times a day to release all this stress. And maybe it's not that aggressive, but so it's like this mismatch of different things. And I feel like you have said, that there's this like almost like innate duty that we feel like that's been like drilled into us as women for generations, that like it is our job to please our husband, to bear him the airs and cook him the dinner and please him in the bedroom and like all that kind of stuff. And right now it's just like everything is so much more heightened, and there's a lot of negativity going on. And so I wonder if for some of the women, they're feeling like, I don't want to say no because that's just going to add more stress to my life right now, because then we're going to have a conversation about why I'm saying no, and then it's going to open up this big can of worms, and then my marriage is going to implode, and all this horribleness is going to happen. So when we say no, what happens after we say no?
Oh, where do I even start? Okay, hold that thought, because I just want to address sex as a stress reliever for men.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of like food. What's the purpose of food, would
Well,
you say?
yeah, I feel like it's like food is both nourishment and pleasure. Like, I don't like to encourage people to like stuff their face as a coping mechanism, but like I have super fond memories of having this soup that my mom used to make and cheese buns from this bakery down the road. And whenever I have that soup and those cheese buns, and those cheese buns are not healthy for me whatsoever, and they make me so bloated after and really honestly feel like garbage, but they're so good and they bring back so many fond memories. And so it's like, it's one of those things where I think it's like a bit of a balance between like nourishment and then also just eating food because it gives you those like nostalgia or just like good feelings, and being okay with that, because it's not all about like I'm gonna force myself to drink this green smoothie even though I don't like the taste of it because it's good for me, which is a long-winded answer for you, but I feel like that's kind of how I work with food.
I love that because it's such a spectrum.
Yeah.
And there is a time when food, I've struggled with this, with binge eating, is that it can kind of go into disordered use. So like numbing. So
Yeah.
I have a negative emotion, fear, anxiety, stress, and I'm going to use food to make myself full, like give that full feeling, so I don't have to think about all the uncomfortable feelings I'm experiencing.
Yes. Like you shove them down with food. Like it's like instead of feeling it, it's like
Mhm.
I'm going to eat all this garbage to shove those feelings down. And I will be the first to say I have done that. I'm not even recently in this whole situation. Food is definitely a coping mechanism for me, and I know that and I recognize it, and it still happens sometimes for me. So I am not immune to this at all.
Yeah, it's big, and it's about learning how to deal with uncomfortable feelings. That's really
Yes.
what it's about. And so you can see something, with a cheese bun, you're taking a breath, you're savoring it, your senses are involved, you've got memories it's a nice, yeah, it's for pleasure, but it's like nice experience
Yeah.
versus going into the pantry and just numbing out with the cookies or the whatever, that you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
So same thing can happen with sex, right?
Sure.
So sex primarily, from my perspective, and most of the women I ask, I said, what's the reason for sex in your marriage? It's for connection
Yeah.
and pleasure too. But quite honestly, you can masturbate, right? If you
Yeah.
really want some sexual pleasure and you want those nerve endings to be stimulated and you want the tightening of your vaginal walls, or he wants the tightening, I don't even know what happens. You know what I'm saying? The
Yep.
stuff happens.
Absolutely.
Then you can do that on your own. But when you talk about sex, when you talk about mutual pleasurable experience of the nerves and the talking and the breath and the pheromones and the oxytocin and the bonding and all of that stuff that happens during sex, that is for connection.
Yeah.
And when you use sex in that way for any other means to alleviate attachment fears,
Yeah.
you love me or not, when you use it to alleviate stress or anxiety, it starts to disintegrate.
Yeah.
And there is a heaviness that you can feel that starts to pile on top of the sexual experience. And you'll start to notice that if it's in your partner, you'll just kind of want to back away from it. It
Yeah.
just feels unsafe because there is some other expectations on the sexual experience than just connection and some mutual pleasure.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a very interesting way of thinking about it. And I think it comes back to what you're saying before in terms of like the like safety. Like when I know that and that Adam, my husband, needs sex as a stress reliever, he is much more aggressive. Like not like it's not like he's never like there's never been any kind of like sexual abuse or anything
Mhm.
that's gone on in our
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
But it's like he comes on to me in a much more aggressive way. And I have to be much more vocal in terms of like, slow down, stop, no, don't touch me there, and everything like that. And it's like we fortunately have explored our sexual relationship enough that he feels safe when I say, like, I want it this way or I don't need it that way. It doesn't feel like a rejection to him. But I can see, yeah, that like it's like a interesting dance in terms of like the emotions and the feelings and how it's like sex is supposed to be this whole connection, but like I feel like you're like being way too aggressive for me right now, and like it's just I don't feel safe and like all this different kinds of stuff. So it just brings up so much stuff, and it's so interesting, just kind of thinking back to the beginning of our conversation, that the more that we just let this happen and we don't address it and we don't communicate about it and we don't seek out help from professionals like you to help us with it, the more it becomes that darn window that you just are like staring at, and you're like angry and you're frustrated and you're like, why can't I just deal with this? Versus if you just give yourself permission to let it be and not be perfect around it and explore the idea that there's other options beside what you should do, it allows for a deeper connection, I think. Hey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my garage door is about to go up, so I'm a little bit distracted by the sound. So if there's some really, I'm right above the garage. So you had another question though. You ended that with, okay, what happens if you're saying no, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. What happens after you say no? Or not, it doesn't even have to be no. It can just be like the classic, like, I'm not really into it, maybe later. Kind of like deferring it until later.
That's why I just believe so much in scheduling sex. Like
Yes.
I really, and if it's not scheduled, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And what I find women, and if you want to take it a step further, because I believe that radical means are necessary for this to change a dynamic if it's been going on for a long time in a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I get women to be the only initiators of physical touch for a period of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And so many women tell me, oh my God, Jana, I finally feel free. I feel free. I can just go about my life at home. I can undress. I can shower. I can be myself.
Mm.
I can initiate touch. Like women, like within the first couple of days, they're like, I haven't initiated a hug or a kiss or a butt grab in like years.
Yeah.
But because I'm the only one initiating it, I'm safe now, they do it. And so guess what? Husband gets more touch,
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a while. It
Yes.
comes. It comes, right?
Yeah.
So if you schedule sex and you don't have to be in a position of saying no,
Yes.
garage door.
No, it's all good.
You don't have to be, because if you are always doing that, then you're in a mindset of no, 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 no. And we don't want you to be in that place.
Yeah.
We want you to be in the place of, I think it might be nice to give my husband a little hug from behind while he's washing the dishes.
Yeah.
You know, and you go up and he doesn't stop washing the dishes, bless his heart. He just keeps on going, and you put your head on the back and feel his warmth, and it feels so good, and then you walk away.
Yeah.
So yeah, schedule sex. It's just the best. It's
Yeah.
absolutely changed my life. I've been doing it consistently probably for about 3 years now. And it's just the best. You just don't have to go through those mental gymnastics anymore. Can I get
Yes.
horny? Can I get aroused? Am I, do I have enough sleep? Or the kid, no, everything's just set up, and you enter the experience as the leader. You just follow your pleasure, trust what feels good and what doesn't. And 1 to 2 hours is a good time frame, just because you need time to talk, you need time to kids you need time to you need time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that way you can think, okay, sex is good, this is good for me, this is
Yeah.
good for me, this is all the endorphins are going to be going, I'm going to get that oxytocin, I'm going to get the dopamine, and I'm going to go and take my pleasure from this experience. I'm going to leave feeling refreshed, or like a yoga class or jazzercise. I love jazzercise.
Yeah. Yes.
Rather than icky or uncomfortable or any of those those feelings.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I am very much invested in the camp of it might feel like scheduling things like sex is like super restrictive and it like makes you feel like you're losing like any sense of freedom, but it actually brings more freedom to your life. Like I've started to schedule more and more things in my life, like workouts, laundry. Like I was so sick of doing like random laundry throughout the week and just like the constantly like folding and putting it in and taking it out and everything. And I'm like, nope. Sundays, we're going to wash the clothes. Mondays, we're going to do bedding and towels. And that's how it is. And it's not always perfect. We don't always get it done exactly that way every single week. There is maybe some spillover, but 90% of the time that happens. And then I'm not thinking the entire week, when is it going to happen? When am I going to do it? When am I going to have the time? So I'm 100% on board. Schedule the sex, because the anxiety over, is it going to happen tonight? Is he going to want to touch me? Oh my God, my period just started. I'm going to have to tell him that my period just started. Oh, like I just ate that big bowl of chili and I don't feel like having sex and he might touch me and expect sex. It's all like, it's just like, nope.
Just
and if it happens, if it's like spontaneous and I like feel like having it, absolutely. Like it's not like it's like, oh, it's Tuesday, I can't have sex now. Absolutely. If you want to, go for it. But it's like knowing that the pressure is off, I'm like 100% on board with that for sure.
Yeah. And then also knowing that you don't have to complete the deal.
Yes.
You know, sometimes I'm laying in bed I love just holding my husband's penis. My relationship with my husband's penis has improved greatly over the years. And we're good friends. We're good friends. And we like to snuggle and chit chat, and it's delightful. And I just like to put my hand on my husband's penis. I don't know. It's comforting. It's like a little security blanket.
Yeah.
The only way that ever happened after like years and years of my marriage of like feeling really intimidated by it and never wanting to go near it is knowing that there's no expectation.
Yes.
There's no pressure. If it gets hard, not my problem.
Yeah.
Not my problem, you know?
Yes.
It's just a fact.
Yes.
And there's no like, you know, it's not like, touch me, please me, finish me, you know? It's just
exactly. I love it. I've loved this conversation. I could talk with you for like hours and hours and hours, but I know that you have a fun little thing for my community. So tell them about your quiz.
So I have found that there are some, you know, typical solutions to this desire issue.
Yeah.
And so there's 4 of them.
Okay.
And so if anybody would like to know what their unique desire fix is, just based on like a series of 20 questions, I think, then the quiz is for you. So it's the 4 desire fixes quiz. You answer some of the questions, or just like in, you know, which one do you resonate with more, A or B? And then you get a video with explaining the desire fix and then also giving you some strategies to move forward. I give you 3 strategies to move forward with that. And so, yeah, it's fun. I hope when you take it, it's relatable. I hope you're like, oh yeah.
Yes.
And you know that you are not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can get that at janadentonhouse.com/quiz, right? Yeah. Perfect. Yes. Yeah. So go take it. I'll make sure to put a link below so that you can just click on the link and go there, because Jen is amazing. As you can tell from this conversation, she knows her stuff. And I love it too, because it's like, you're not like some like guru who's like, do this thing. Like you've lived this, you know what it's like. So you're speaking from experience. And I think that's the best kind of coach out there, because you have empathy and you really get the women going through this. So thank you so much, Jana. This was amazing. Thank you for being here.
You're a fun one to chat with. I'll do it anytime.
Yay. Hey, does your body feel pretty different since becoming a mom and you just wish you could feel stronger and more like yourself again? If this sounds like you, I want you to know that the solution isn't to push yourself harder or work out more. What you need is a whole new way of thinking about your body and the right, proven postpartum fitness strategies. Because you're a mom now, your life and body is suddenly drastically different, and what worked pre-baby is not what will work now. You need a new approach. You need to know how to work out safely after baby. And that happens to be the name of my free program. You can head to jennadalton.com/free, where you can snag 3 15-minute home workouts so you can regain your strength in 2 key areas moms need to focus on the most. And you'll also learn the #1 secret you need to know about postpartum fitness that you probably haven't heard from anyone else, even your doctor. Head to jennadalton.com/free to get it.